Welcome to the Parkland Report. My name is Reilly, and we're here live in the Parkland Theatre. Joining me, David Dillman, the shop manager, and BJ Gailey, one of our part-time faculty. Welcome to the Parkland Report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, David, tell me a little bit about the set we are sitting on. This is the set for the current production of Memphis. Talk a little bit about what goes into building a set this size.
Building a set this size takes a lot of time, and a lot of people. But it started with design, and it started with the designer's conception of it. His ideas, he would talk to the director about it, and then the director would talk to the technical director, and the technical director would say yay or nay and give you the finished product of what you want to see on stage. But it takes a long time. My job as a shop manager is to implement all the drawings that the technical director gives me. The designer gives his drawing to the technical director. Technical director gives me the working drawings of how to actually build it.
So for your purposes then, you've got a lot of drawings, a lot of things to work with. Talk a little bit about the crew that you have to work with and how you go about instructing them, because I know many of the folks involved in building of the sets here at Parkland are actually students.
Yes. We have 2 part-time employees, and they do most of the work as far as the help goes. We get some students that are required to be here, mostly the ones on scholarship, and I pretty much put them to work as soon as they come in.
So BJ, how important is it? Our students come in, I mean, they're captivated by wanting to be on the stage, a lot of them as actors. For many of them, sort of the technical sort of side of the stagecraft aspect of it is maybe not something they're as familiar with. But realistically now, when we look at a play on the page and then we see it transformed and put on the stage, so much of what makes a difference in the production is the technical aspects.
Absolutely.
How important is it for our students to have that first-hand experience?
Well, I think it's extremely important, and it's one of the things that Parkland provides a number of different ways for students to get involved in the collaborative process that is theater, from being really good at reading a play, understanding what it requires to put it into production, understanding a character, what they want, how they're going about achieving that objective, to all the various technical skills that you see on stage in a production like Memphis. To have all those skills ready at hand and to have firsthand experience participating really makes them well-rounded. And so when they leave Parkland, I think they feel like they have a wide variety of skill sets that they can go into a theatrical job or any sort of production job and feel at home, comfortable and experienced.
And I mean, that is important because, I mean, there are a limited number of sort of prime actor roles,
Absolutely.
right? So if you want to work in the world of theater, for example, that is an advantage to have had some experience in doing this.
It is indeed. And well, I mean, there's a couple famous cases of people who made the transition from sort of technical work to on-screen work or on-stage work. But mostly it's just, it's all about creating that sense of discipline and organization. That's necessary whether you're building a character or building a set. So all those skills work hand in hand.
And so just to follow up from that, because, I mean, it's a very interesting world now in terms of the kinds of aspects of production which are in almost everything that we do. So students who have this experience can maybe step outside into a different sort of world like marketing or TV or
very
production
much.
or almost anything that is sort of staged now involves some level of that technical aspect.
I mean, if you think about every commercial you see, whether it's a print ad or a television ad, it involves a design, right? A design, construction, considerations of framing, performance, how it's going to appeal and communicate to an audience. These are all theatrical skills, and these are all things that we work with our students in classes.
So David, for our students who are going through, I mean, obviously not all of them are going to be kind of qualified carpenters, but they're learning a little bit about some of that piece. How do you see that their learning the skills sort of improves their overall understanding of how the theater works or what goes into a production?
I think it gives them a better understanding of what goes into building a show. Some people walk in and say, wow, where'd you get this? Like, no, we built it. We built everything on stage. And the students that come in to help to do that and learn how to do the building, it makes them better on stage.
Yeah.
So I was going to go to
That's what I'm
that
trying to
because, like, when you come in and look at this set, right, and you start off with basically a blank slate, and you bring in this incredible set, right? It's very, very large. It's very complex. There's lots of sort of things going on with it in terms of what it's representing, right? I mean, so now you're trying to represent a city, and you're sort of measuring out a cityscape, and you're transforming it brick and stone. It must sort of have an immediate impact as the actors begin to interact with the piece they've been working on, and when they get on stage, then must make a huge difference in terms of their interpretation of the piece and their ability to sort of reenact what their words are telling them to do.
Well, to me, when I am on stage, and I know I put this stuff up as well, so when I get on stage and after having put up most of the set, it makes the actor feel more at home, and it makes them more comfortable in what they're trying to portray.
And that transformation of the space then, of course, sort of translates for the audience as well, right? You're coming in and it's wide open. So literally you're walking into this theater and you're seeing a cityscape. And then once it's lit, then sort of it literally comes to life, right?
Yes.
And what's interesting to me about this particular production is the way you've utilized every square inch of the theater. Talk a little bit about sort of the thought process behind using the full sort of scope of the available space to you.
Well, with this set and with this show, it was a large cast. So we didn't want to open up the orchestra pit because that would have cut this stage in half. And with all the people on stage, it would have made what they're doing impossible. And that's why we put the orchestra over there on the side, as well as open that whole side up so you could actually see the orchestra still and still hear it. And with that, they opened it up because we needed a sound booth, basically, for the radio show. And that's a DJ area over there. And anywhere on stage, it would have been impossible to do.
Right.
I mean, even trying to roll on a platform with that set on it would have been impossible because of all the stuff we have here.
So BJ, for the audience, it sort of creates an additional sort of impact, right? Because you don't have any barrier now, right? I mean, you're in the space.
Absolutely.
And like David said, like being able to use the full sort of amount of space available in the proscenium without having the orchestra pit open, and then essentially wrapping the sort of audience in it. You're sort of built into the show as you come in.
You are, and I think it creates a really a tangible sense of real space to the audience, right? There are shows where you want the stage to be sort of open and free-flowing, but this isn't that kind of show. This is a show that has a historical time and place that it's based on, right? And in order to accurately represent that and give it a sense of weight and realism, like I love the fact that the radio booth is separate, right? Because this is kind of a separate space from the cityscape you see behind you. And the orchestra is a separate consideration, so they can exist. We still get that live musical element that's such an important part of the musical theater, but it leaves the stage wide open. So it's really an effective design, I think, and really fun.
Well, excellent. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be right back after this short break.
Did I not tell you she was innocent?
Well, so did the Prince and Claudio, who accused her upon the error that you heard today.
Well, I am glad that all things sort so well. And so am I, being asked by Faith and forced to call young Claudio to a reckoning for it.
Well, daughter and gentlewomen all, withdraw into a chamber by yourselves, and when I send for you, come hither masked.
Friar, I must entreat your pains, I think.
To do what, senorita?
To bind me or undo me, one of them. Signora Leonata, truth it is, good Signora, your niece regards me with an eye of favor.
That I, my daughter, lent her, 'tis most true.
And I do with an eye of love requite her.
The sight whereof I think you had from Claudio, from the prince, and me. But what's your will?
Your answer, madam, is enigmatical, but for my will is your goodwill, may join with ours this day to be conjoined in a state of honorable marriage, in which, friar, I shall desire your help.
Oh, my heart is with your life.
And my help.
Here come the prince and Claudio.
Good evening to this fair assembly.
Good evening, Prince. Good evening, Claudio. Are you yet determined tonight to marry with my brother's daughter?
Which is the lady that I must seize upon?
This same is she, and I do give her you.
Why, then she's mine. Sweet, let me see her face.
Oh, no, that you shall not. Not till you take her hand before this friar and swear to marry her.
Give me your hand. Before this holy friar, I am your husband, if you like of me.
And when I lived, I was your other wife. And when you loved, you were my other husband.
Another hero.
Nothing certainer. One hero died defiled, but I do live. And as surely as I live, I'm a maid.
The former hero. Hero that is dead.
She died, my lord, whilst her slander lived.
All this amazement can I qualify. When after the holy rites are ended, I'll tell you largely of fair hero's death. Meantime, let wonders seem familiar. Into the chapel, let us presently.
Soft and fair, friar. Which is Beatrice?
I answer to that name. What is your will?
Do not you love me?
Why, no. No more than reason.
Why then your aunt and the prince and Claudio have been deceived, for they swore you did.
Do not you love me?
True. No more than reason.
Why then, my cousin Margaret and Ursula are much mistaken. For they did swear you did.
They swore you were almost sick for me.
They swore you were well nigh dead for me.
'Tis no such matter. But you do not love me?
No, truly, but in friendly recompense.
Oh, come, cousin, I'm sure you love the gentlewoman.
And I'll be sworn upon that Benedict loves her. For here's a paper, written in her hand, a halting sonnet of her own pure brain, fashioned to Beatrice.
And here's another, written in my cousin's hand and stolen from her pocket, containing her affection onto Benedict.
A miracle. Here's our own hands against our hearts. Come, I will have thee, but by this light I take thee for pity.
I would not deny thee, though by this good day I take thee upon great persuasion, and partly to save your life. For I was told that you were in a consumption.
Peace, I will stop your mouth.
How dost thou, Benedict? The married woman?
I'll tell thee what, Prince. A college of woodcrackers cannot flout me out of my humor. In brief, since I do purpose to marry, I will think nothing to any purpose that the world can say against it. Therefore never flout at me for what I have said against it. For man is a giddy thing, and this is my conclusion. For thy part, Claudio, I did think to have beaten thee, but in that thou art like to be my kinsman, live unbruised. and love my cousin. Come, come, we are friends. Let us have a dance ere we are married, that we may lighten our hearts and our wives' heels.
Oh, we'll have dancing afterward.
First, oh my word, therefore play music. Prince, thou art sad. I see a wife. I see a wife.
Lord, your brother John is taken in flight and brought with armed men back to Messina.
Think not on him till tomorrow. I'll devise thee brave punishments for him. Strike up, pipers!
Jumping John makes you get your John on the mellow time. John makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Don't you be that ain't no true get come on and let you follow through. You get there, study, jumping like the gators do. Jumping, John makes you like your legs on the Jersey side. Jumping, John makes you all the man.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. Joining me now, Melissa Goldman and Dominic Rosales, students here at Parkland College. Thanks for being here in the Parkland Report.
Thanks for having us.
Melissa, talk to me a little bit about your involvement in this particular production. What did you do?
I'm currently the assistant stage manager for this production, and I also run one of the flies for the show.
So what's an assistant stage manager and what's a fly?
Assistant stage manager, we often for a show, there's a stage manager who often makes the schedules, calls everyone, makes sure everyone's at rehearsal, organizes everything. Like, she gives the direction of the director to the designers and stuff like that, basically controls everything. And then I'm the assistant stage manager to our current stage manager, Heather Ann, and I assist her in whatever she needs help with. And like unlocking the theater, making sure props are in place, making sure people are on time, call them if they're not there and everything like that. And a fly is like when we have signs or battens hung with implements that need to come down during the show at different times. It's part of the system with the ropes. We pull them down and they come down and pull them back up. But yeah.
This particular show has a lot of stuff flying in and out. Yeah. So talk to me about like how difficult it is to control and make sure all of those things come in and out at the right minute, right? Because it's important.
It is difficult. I know the first few times when I did it, I messed up a few times where I was just like, oh no, it's not, like, because you have to have it come down at a certain height and you have to mark that with a spike line. And if it doesn't, then it could be too close to the stage or too high up where you can't see it in the audience. And so I know I didn't have a lot of experience, like this is my first time ever doing it. So it helped a lot to like get practice with it with like Tech Week before we actually had to do it for shows and performances in front of people.
So you're actually a first year student here at Parkland College and you didn't have a theater in your home high school, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you've learned all this from scratch since you've come to Parkland College?
Yeah, basically.
Very good, an intense learning experience. Dominic, talk to me a little bit about what your involvement was, and did you have a theater program or did you in your high school?
So I had a part in every piece in this set, just about, so everything from the lights, the sound, the scenic construction, props, because I'm actually a part-time staff here for the Parkland Theatre, so that's basically my job. So I help out with that. Not only with that, but I also help out as a student for my scholarship hours and my practicum hours. So in terms of my involvement in the show, I'm the sound aide too, so I'm second to the sound designer. So I run a sound console stage left for the band. Basically, we have a bunch of mics set up for the band, so then that way we can hear them, obviously. And in terms of having a theater program in my high school, we actually didn't have one. We actually went to the same high school. So I actually wasn't involved with theater whatsoever when I was back in high school, and it wasn't until I came into college where I started learning everything from scratch, and it was tough, but learned a lot in just the 2 years I've been here.
So what was it that got you interested in being part of the theater program here at Parkland in the first place?
So when I was back in high school, I really wanted to be involved with production, particularly film production. So when I got here, I wanted to go for something that was a little bit in that area, something for the very next best thing. So it was theater, and it sounded very interesting to me. I really wanted to do something like that, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I got involved with the theater program, got involved with the process, and I remember seeing the staff that was here then when I first started. And when I saw that, I saw some student workers, and I told myself, oh, I really want to do that. I want to be one of those people. I really wanted to be able to learn just as much as they could, know the things that they could. So I just got involved, and I ended up getting the job here during the summer, and I just started working.
So you've learned an incredible amount in the last couple of years. And where do you go from here?
Well, I really want to major in sound design, and I had the opportunity to tour U of I's campus and their facilities there, and I ended up getting accepted to the U of I, so I'm going to be heading to the U of I now and majoring in sound design and technology.
Excellent, very good. So Melissa, talk to me a little bit about your involvement, and why did you decide that you wanted to come and be part of the theater program here?
Well, I've always got involved with performing because I love performing arts, and I did community theaters like around my town. Not like we have a small little theater in town, but I wanted to do something bigger, and I knew that I wanted to go into theater. I just didn't know I wanted to go into musical theater because I love to sing and stuff. But then I went to Millikan for a bit, and then my financial aid stuff didn't work out, so I came to Parkland. And at first I was like, oh, Parkland's a small community college. I didn't know what they could offer for theater. But then just being here, just the first semester alone, it's amazing what you get, the hands-on experience you get working in the theater with being in practicum and being a scholarship student, all the stuff you have to put into creating a show, and you get that hands-on experience, which I don't think you can get anywhere else.
So we talk a little bit about this, the hands-on experience, and we talk about the work students are involved in, but I mean, you really are doing it, right? It's not like you are watching other people do the work. You are learning what has to be done, and you actually do it.
Right? Yeah. With most community theater productions, as an actor, you're just there, and you'll show up and you'll do your part. Once sets build, you'll see it come and be pulled in and brought in, but you don't actually get to you sometimes get to see the building process, but you're not a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what helps. I think a lot of actors in Parkland's theater program is that if they're a scholarship student or a practicum student, they have to work on shows, and they actually get that hands-on experience. And I think it helps them give more of a respect to what goes into a show and how much work and effort people put into making a show.
Now, you've had some experience in what you said in the theater and from a musical point of view. How have you seen the impact of the work that you've done in terms of the design and the build and all the stage management piece? How has that sort of impacted your understanding of what goes into a production from the actor's point of view? In other words, do you see the actors kind of react to the quality of the set? Obviously, it's very important that everything is right, but how have you seen the overall production improved by the work that goes on behind the scenes?
I know I had to be for a lot of the rehearsal process, and a lot of the rehearsal process on the stage, the stage wasn't painted yet, or we didn't have set pieces, we didn't have stairs and stuff like that. So it was hard for the actors to work within the space without those elements, so we had it taped out on the stage. But then once pieces started coming and they started getting props, they started seeing the set come alive, it got them more in character, I think, and it helped them build a stronger image of what they wanted to do with their character on stage.
So Dominic, part of that is how impressive this set is. I mean, this is sets are sets, but this actually has lots of pieces. Can you talk a little bit about some of the complexity of the set itself? What pieces move, what pieces don't, what pieces fly in? And the same sort of question for you then, how does that sort of make the overall experience for the actor different?
Sure. So in terms of a complex pieces, a lot of it was really complex, but I think after, I know it takes a lot of time, and I remember when we were setting up the walls, for instance, we have 16-foot walls that we had to set up, so one 8-foot wall, and then we had to set up another 8-foot wall on top of that. So that was a little bit, when I heard that we were going to be doing something like that, I told myself, wow, how is this going to happen? And when we do something like that, and when we learn how the proper and safe way to do something like that, that I'm way more appreciative of that set piece. And we have a lot of flying set pieces too that come in during the show, so a lot of neon signs and stuff like that. And during the process of making those signs, I remember when they were just the stripped down signs without any of the electrical units inside of them, and when they were just not even painted at all. But like when you go through that process, when you get to see everything from the bare bone, the minimum, you really become aware of how much time and effort it takes. And I've definitely learned that from the start. I remember when I had my first show here, I didn't really have a hand in a lot of things, but seeing how much time it took to create something from start to finish was a long process, and it opened my eyes to see how much time and effort it takes to do that.
So when actors are on this set, though, they're walking up a real stairs. I mean, it looks like a real cityscape, right? It has that feel. The DJ booth looks like a real DJ booth. I mean, the front of the whole stage has like a radio dial on it. It must have for the actors, you must have seen a transformation once the set was built and they began to interact with the space. You must have seen a change in their experience.
Yeah, I actually do remember seeing one night when they were I remember seeing, like Melissa described, how they just had this set piece just taped out on the stage. And when we actually kept bringing in more and more set pieces, like the walls, the bridge structure, the stair unit, the false proscenium that we have here, when those things came in, it almost hindered their movements from what they were doing before, but it helped them in another way because now they could see it, they could visualize it. So it really helped with their performance, and it boosted that because they could really feel that tangible item right in front of them.
And for both of you, what an incredible learning experience in a very short space of time. You've gone from knowing maybe not an awful lot about the technical aspect to really understanding it, right? Yeah. And getting to do it. Has it been influential in terms of what you might do next?
A bit. I know I've never thought about going into the tech aspects of theater, always like the performance aspects, but now that I've gotten hands-on involvement with the tech aspects, I feel like I'm comfortable with going into like work in the theater in any aspect of it and be happy with it.
So you've got the whole theater experience now, both of you. Well, very good. Thanks so much for being here. That's it for this time on Parkland Report. We'll see you back here next time.